Thank you. I yield back.
His time has expired. Mr. Cummings is recognized for 5 minutes, to be followed by Mr. Connolly.
Mr. Feinberg, I want to thank you for your testimony. And I've listened to you very, very carefully, and I do believe that you have done what you've been instructed to do. And I think you've done an outstanding job.
Thank you.
Let me just try to get down to where the rubber meets the road. You know, I think part of the reason why this is going on, why you're doing what you're doing, and why the Congress asked you to do what you're doing, is so that, and you've implied this in your testimony, part of the reason is to try to get other companies to do this beyond the 7. And I have had an opportunity, I know you got maximum cooperation, I think you said, with AIG. And I've had an opportunity to meet with the former head of AIG, Mr. Liddy, and to listen quite a bit to what he had to say. And I read the papers just like you do. I have absolutely no confidence, none, that the things that you're able to do, and it has nothing to do with you. There is a culture on Wall Street that will cause them to reduce salaries. I mean, consistent with what you just said a minute ago. And I mean, and you're a very bright and straightforward person. I mean, what do you see? What would cause them to even do it? Because my dealings with them is like we're on 2 different planets. They have, I think that when they talk about multi-million-dollar bonuses, it's like shoe-shine money to them. And I'm serious. And so, when I talked to Mr. Liddy about my constituents who are being thrown out of their houses because of foreclosure, losing their savings, everything, and they still wanted to give money to the financial products division, and to seem to not even have a clue or not give a hoot about these folks, and at the same time handing out millions. I mean, I just can't see how, with all your fine work, that is going to be turned around. I just don't. I mean, I've been around a long time. And number 2, I was wondering, what advice do you have conversations with the president? And because let me tell you, I believe that the American people, in order for all of the things that the president's trying to do to right this economic ship, if the American people aren't there, and if they feel like they're getting screwed every which way, and certainly it goes beyond these 7 companies, and you know, so the question becomes, are we? I mean, what do we see? What do you see? And don't forget, I mean, I know what you're hoping, but Mr. Borowski said something the other day that really impressed me when he was giving us a little talk about his report. He said that Secretary Geithner and others, whenever he comes before us, they listen. So here you are before us. You're the man with the 7 companies. I'm trying to figure out what will it take, if anything. This might be a culture that's impossible to turn around, to make these folks move in another direction.
Congressman, you're asking a political science question about the difference, the gap between Wall Street and Main Street thinking on this subject. I can play whatever role I can play, hopefully, in impressing upon Wall Street generally the value of what's in this report. Whether or not Wall Street will pick up on any of this, I do not know.
And give me your best argument. That's what I want to hear. You're talking to Wall Street. You said, Wall Street, we've got a great report here. This is why you should do this. Your best argument.
My best argument would be to Wall Street that this is why you should do this, because if you don't do this, There may be a time when Congress or others will rein in pay and will limit your discretion and will limit your unilateral ability to determine what to pay people. I mean, to the extent that these modest proposals, modest in the sense that they only apply to 7 companies, to the extent that they are ignored in the private marketplace, ignored. Well, I mean, the question is, will Congress, in its wisdom, sit by and allow compensation to go forward under the old regime and the old way of doing things? I don't know. I've got enough problems, as you've witnessed this morning, dealing with these 7 companies and suggesting that my role should definitely not go beyond these 7 companies to express a view on what global decisions should be made by Congress to try and rein in Wall Street. That is a subject of beyond my jurisdiction, and one that I wisely don't want to get near, because I don't want to undercut my credibility and my effectiveness in terms of dealing with these 7 companies.
Thank you very much, Chairman.
We might need another master to do that. Congressman Conley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and Mr. Feinberg, thank you for your willingness to serve. You know, in listening to some of the rhetoric about this subject on the other side of the aisle, one would think, if one knew nothing, that Congress and the federal government just have this irrational compulsion to interfere in the private sector and arbitrarily set compensation limits. Well, what's your understanding of why your job was created, Mr. Feinberg?
My job was, it's clear, my job was created by Congress and the Treasury to establish compensation determinations designed with one primary objective in mind: to get the taxpayers' money back. And that is